In 2018, a Reddit user shared an image of a parcel addressed to Australia, which was missent to Austria 5 times. That's a scope which may seem hard to top, but today I'm going to share with you the track and trace history for a FedEx parcel which ping-ponged between Asia and Europe 9 times and traveled a staggering 60,000 miles around the globe. Why am I sharing this with you? Well, I recently uploaded a video exposing a shocking lack of innovation in the postal industry, which I believe results in millions of parcels being sent to the wrong destination every day. Many of you have questioned the gravity of this issue, so in this video, I'll share more examples to further illustrate the seriousness of this problem. We'll examine unseen footage of sorting errors caught on camera, provide exciting updates on the recent AirTags sent to North Korea, and lastly, we'll discuss how DHL is able to operate their business inside of the DPRK. Now, the FedEx parcel we're about to look at was sent to me by a viewer, and I'll be honest, when this gentleman first reached out to me, I was skeptical about his story. That was until he shared his tracking number with me and I saw the travel history with my very own eyes. I mean, it's bad. In fact, it's so outrageous that I decided to animate its ridiculous journey for your viewing pleasure. To set the stage, this parcel was meant to travel from Thailand to Greenland. So starting in Bangkok, the parcel made its way to Guangzhou in China, and from there, headed to Europe, making its first stop in Cologne, Germany. Then it hopped over to Belgium, great beer there, then off to France, then back to Belgium, then to France again. Fed up with Europe's chilly weather, next stop was New Delhi in India. Way to spice things up. The parcel then returned to Guangzhou, China for a second round of dim sum, I suppose. But back to Europe it went. First stop Germany, followed by France. Oh, and would you look at that, we're heading back to India, but this time Mumbai. Then back to Guangzhou again, but that's enough of Asia for this parcel, and back to Europe we go. First stop, Deutschland. Then to Belgium, and of course, France. What's this? Let me guess, we're heading back to Guangzhou, I knew it. But then a twist, we're going to, where are we going? Dubai for a change of scenery, all right. However, as the saying goes, old habits die hard, so it was back to France. But this parcel clearly not a fan of the riots, so back to New Delhi we go. And what a shock, we're back in Guangzhou. But we're not done yet. The parcel ventured back to Germany, then to Belgium, and now to Copenhagen, Denmark, all right. From there, the parcel finally makes its way to Kangerlussuaq in Greenland before reaching its final destination in Nuuk. Relax, it's FedEx.
The inspiring story of how a shipping giant can befriend a forest may seem like the stuff of fairy tales.
Yeah, mate, it sure does. How does something like this even happen? Seriously, this parcel probably has more frequent fly points than a man with a secret second family. It transited in 24 countries, traveled 60,000 miles or 96,000 kilometers, which is equivalent to traveling around the world 2.5 times. It's as though FedEx were trying to set a world record. Now, I tried to reach out to FedEx for comment, but never heard back from them. However, FedEx did send the recipient of this parcel one of the most poorly written apology letters I've ever seen, which briefly outlines the issue. In the letter, FedEx claimed the fault was the result of an incorrect manifest. Now, this suggests to me that perhaps this parcel wasn't alone in taking this crazy journey. My guess is that the entire bag or container that this parcel was sorted into took this crazy journey, which, if true, is obviously even worse. And this raises an important point I failed to highlight in my previous video, which is that entire bags of parcels can also fall victim to sorting anomalies or other human errors. For instance, a parcel bag could simply be loaded into the wrong unit load device, or ULD. And just like that, a whole bag of parcels are en route to the wrong country. Where still, it's not uncommon for entire ULDs to end up on the wrong flight. All it takes is for ground crew to mistakenly attach the wrong boarding pass to a ULD. And although the likelihood of such mistakes are lower than that of a typical sorting error, these mistakes can and do happen, especially during peak periods. But where things can get really messy, like this FedEx scenario, is when a parcel gets caught in a combination of these errors. Let me give you an example. Let's say we have a parcel destined for Austria and it gets missorted into a bag that's destined for Australia. And when that bag gets processed, it's accidentally placed into a ULD for South Africa, and that ULD is mistakenly loaded into a plane destined for America. Well, now we have a parcel which is nested inside multiple layers of sorting errors, and unfortunately, those mistakes will only get resolved one country at a time. Because when the plane arrives in America, they won't open the ULD and inspect it for additional errors. That would be inefficient. So only once the ULD is course corrected to South Africa will they find the Australian bag. And only once the bag gets redirected to Australia will a human or computer find the parcel and realize, oops, wrong country, and finally redirect it to Austria. So that's one of the ways these crazy ping pong logistics errors can come about. And there's a concerning amount of these examples cropping up on social media. I was shocked at how many similar scenarios I found on Twitter just by searching the term ping pong parcel or parcel world tour. The tracking history for some of these parcels will leave you scratching your head. Now, while we're on the topic of sorting errors, it's worth noting that humans aren't always to blame. Sorting systems themselves can also play a part. And it just so happens that during our recent tour of DHL Sorting Center, my team caught some sorting errors on camera. Let's take a look. So here we have a manual sorter whose job is to determine which country a parcel is traveling to and enter the corresponding code for that country. Assuming they've entered the correct code, the parcel will zip onto a tilt tray, and from here, it's up to the sorting machine to drop the parcel down the correct chute for that country. And there should only ever be one parcel per tilt tray. But if we look at this footage here, you'll notice there's not one, but two parcels occupying a single tilt tray, with both falling into the same container. Now, initially I assumed this was intentional, but an industry expert from Germany, who asked to remain anonymous, confirmed with me that this is an error known as a Doppelschale, which means double tray. And in America, it's referred to as a double occupation. These errors occur when an already occupied tilt tray thinks it's empty, tricking the system to allowing a second parcel to be placed on it. There's a variety of ways in which this can happen, like malfunctioning sensors on the tray, but the ultimate outcome is that parcels end up in the wrong container and get shipped to the wrong country. And these mistakes are so common that there are products on the market dedicated to detecting these double occupations. Kind of wild. Another issue observed was that sometimes lighter parcels would catch too much air while exiting the tilt tray, nearly flying over the barrier and into the wrong chute. Not surprising given we had also seen parcels that had fallen off the conveyor system entirely. Now, although these issues are common among many postal operators and not just DHL, it's crucial to recognize the potential pitfalls of these outdated systems. And by spotlighting these issues, I hope to emphasize the need for innovation and automation in the industry, because there are solutions out there today which solve a lot of these issues. The sooner postal companies evolve by embracing and investing in these technologies, the better. Speaking of evolving and improving, you know what else needs continuous development? Our brains. And that's where today's sponsor, Brilliant, can help. Brilliant.org is the best place to learn math and computer science skills interactively. And you don't need to be a genius or a rocket scientist to get started either. Brilliant's interactive courses are perfect for mere mortals like us who are just looking to become more knowledgeable every day. Plus, their bite-sized lessons are perfect for busy people, allowing you to gradually tackle entire topics in as little as 15 minutes per day. That's something I personally really loved when I first started using Brilliant. With thousands of engaging topics on lessons like AI, data science, and neural networks, Brilliant has something for everyone. So if you're ready to give your brain the workout it deserves and finally achieve that big brain energy, you can gain access to all of Brilliant's features for a full 30 days for free by visiting brilliant.org/megalag or by clicking the link below. And if you love the app as much as I do, the first 200 of you to sign up for the premium annual subscription will get 20% off. Thanks again, Brilliant, for sponsoring this video. All right, time for an update on the AirTag parcel sent to North Korea via Royal Mail. Cause boy, have those been on quite the journey. In my last video, the parcels traveled from the UK to Shanghai, China, bounced around a few mailing centers, and sent a final ping from a highway in Shanghai, then disappeared. But quite a lot has happened since then. A few weeks later, 2 of the parcels sent me a ping from an unexpected location. A port in Shenzhen. For the first time ever, my parcels were about to embark on a sea voyage, which was rather exciting. The big question now was, were they being shipped to North Korea or back to Europe? Interestingly, the only trade route still open between China and the DPRK is sea freight, so I couldn't rule it out. However, several weeks later, I had finally received a ping from the AirTags, which had arrived in the Netherlands. And soon after, the parcels headed back to the UK. But here's where things get really interesting. You remember in my last video, a spokesperson from DHL and PostNL both clarified that China Post's forwarding service to North Korea was suspended. Royal Mail, on the other hand, was adamant that their service to North Korea was fully operational. So naturally, Naturally, I felt obliged to give them the bad news that their service to North Korea isn't fully operational, and additionally, I shared my tracking information with them so that they can investigate. A week later, a spokesperson for Royal Mail, who spoke on background, explained that their teams had looked through 4 years worth of notifications from the Universal Postal Union, unable to find any indication that China Post had suspended their service to North Korea. So unlike DHL and PostNL, who used their brains and contacted China Post directly, Royal Mail wasted what must have been hours sifting through years worth of notifications from the UPU when all they had to do was send a quick 5-minute email. And I have no idea why they would rely on the UPU for accurate information. That organization is so technologically challenged, they're still allocating hundreds of thousands of dollars from their annual budget to collecting stamps. I wouldn't be surprised if the UPU has carrier pigeons delivering their internal memos. Anyways, frustrated with Royal Mail's response, I said to them, hey look, DHL and PostNL have both contacted China Post directly and have confirmed the suspension of service. Have you considered doing the same? It's literally one short email. However, my advice fell on deaf ears, and Royal Mail continues to offer a postal service to a country with closed borders. But the drama doesn't end there. In an unexpected twist, Royal Mail, bless their overconfident hearts, decided to take a second swing at sending my parcels to the DPRK. Their unwavering confidence is admirable, I'll give them that. I had no idea they were attempting this bold move until I saw my parcels lounging on the tarmac of Heathrow Airport. And the cherry on top, brace yourselves, because this is just too good. They sent my parcels to South Korea. The stupidity in the postal sector never ceases to amaze me. Moving on, let's talk about DHL's business in North Korea. So here we have some footage of 2 DHL Express employees in North Korea collecting parcels from a customer. The customer who recorded this video is Indonesian diplomat Jaka Parker, who lived in North Korea with his family from 2012 until 2018. Upon discovering this footage, I was curious to understand how DHL managed to establish itself in one of the most secluded countries in the world. Because if I'm not mistaken, DHL is the only Western brand operating inside of the DPRK, and they've been there since 1997. They have an office, employees, vans, the whole package. And I wanted to understand the logistics of how that all works. Like, how do they pay their employees? Do they have weekly Zoom meetings with the team? Or are they using a fleet of pigeons? So naturally, when I had the chance to sit down and talk with DHL directly, I asked, and it turns out DHL Express is represented in North Korea by a so-called agency, and this agency performs tasks on behalf of DHL. So the DHL vans, the employees, they're all paid, owned, and operated by this agency. It's somewhat of a peculiar setup, but that's how it was explained to me. And although DHL didn't disclose who exactly this agency is, I did a little digging and found an article written by the Associated Press way back in 1997, which claims DHL partnered with Pyongyang's government-run Korea Transportation Corp. So perhaps that's the agency DHL was referring to? It's possible, but then again, 1997 was quite a long time ago. As for their purpose in North Korea, DHL Express offers services to customers such as hospitals, aid agencies, and international institutions like diplomatic missions. And if you're wondering how they're able to operate amidst all the sanctions placed on North Korea, well, because DHL is a German company, they're not subject to the same trade embargoes as, say, a company like FedEx, which is based in the US. However, they do still have to abide international and European sanctions, which aren't quite as strict. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm working on some really cool videos at the moment, so stay tuned. If you want some regular updates on those, be sure to check out my Twitter or jump on our Discord channel. I'll leave a link in the description below.